What is up, my little deinos? Vepsis, your coach of the Helsinki Hydreigons, and we are here for the APA Academy Week 8 battle versus TTM Styx. And you're gonna be wondering that what the heck are we doing in a Week 8 in a league that you haven't uploaded before? And why the hell are you 0-7 -2 difference? So what the heck is going on? So, to put it simple, I took over a team after I was invited to, and I was actually one of the replacement coaches. At least I invited myself to be one of those candidates, cause APA as a whole, all of their leagues, what they have to offer and what they are running, they have been leagues that I consider one that would be a cool opportunity for myself in the future to be part of, especially the ones that they do on Wi-Fi. I figure that those would be the primary targets for myself for the future, to try to be part of them and try to kind of make quote-unquote a name for myself and get more cooler opportunities in a traffic format to go up against people that I have tend to watch in the past, and therefore just kind of progressing as a quote-unquote content creator, even though I don't consider myself as a one, but as at least a draft league player who does YouTube draft leagues, I consider as a good step for myself to do and put a little bit of footing on the door regards to the APA Academy in itself and the other opportunities that hopefully would come through there. So basically, because of the record that I'm gonna be heritating with the team in itself, after Lapis unfortunately she stepped down as a coach, so something happened to the point that they needed a replacement for her team. So I took over the team. It's not gonna be very likely or have any chance for me to make to the playoffs. So you can tell from the record that that's basically something that I cannot really think about. So I have to have other motivations to keep myself going, and that was one of the motivations why I took over the team. And I'm gonna be trying to showcase myself to be a good candidate for them in a potential Generation 8 of APA Academy or whatever Wi-Fi league they would be having going on. So basically, I'll try to just showcase my skills as a battler and content creator, and hopefully it's gonna take me further for cooler opportunities. The team itself and the roster, what I have, you can see on the top right hand corner as a screenshot from the showdown in itself. It went through a couple of changes that I changed one of my C captains on my team. I have 3 C captains as a whole, being Landersterian, Volcarona, and now being Cramble. The former one over Cramble was Pangoro, but because I picked Cramble besides Type Null and Stunfish from the free agency, I decided to swap that C captaincy over to Cramble because I figured it would be more valuable for that role. And those 3 pickups were very minor, and I couldn't really be able to make major changes really easily because there are like 24 coaches in this league. So the free agency pool is basically as thin as you would think because of that. So I just make most out of those free agencies that I could make, and those are the ones that I selected to go with. And Styx's roster you can see right below mine, and his C captains are Gengar, Alolan Person, and Embo respectively. And the team that I'm gonna be bringing is gonna be, you can see actually on the layout already, the team of 6, but we are gonna be covering quickly the sets in itself, so you can see I'm not gonna be talking too much in depth, so we move on to the battle itself and see how that's gonna be going on. Hopefully I remember to add a text to there, so if you want to skip this part of the video, you can skip through there on that timestamp that I'm showing on the screen, or hopefully about right now as I'm talking about it. So if you want to skip this through, feel free to do so, but we are going to be covering just quickly the team of 6, so you have better idea as we go into the battle what I have going on with and why I have certain items, for example, which could come into play. So the first mod that we are going to be bringing is going to be the only Uber that I have on this draft. You can tell already this is a partially a Ubers league in itself, and we get to see some mons that you normally don't see in a traffic format, which is also something that is very new for me to go up against or build with something like Ubers mons like this. So I have my Mega Gengar with the Shadow Tag ability that it has, with Timid Nature, with Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Icy Wind, and Protect. The Protect is therefore to kinda enable me to get a safe Mega Evolution without having to take a hit. And also Scar for a potential Choice Scarf Gengar, what it's gonna be locking itself into, because I have a couple of things that can swap into one of its dual stabs easily, or I can see if he's gonna be trying to call my Pangoro to be swapping into it and go for Dazzling Gleam, and then I catch him off guard from there. And Icy Wind is just for the Zygarde Father form, which is the 100% of form. People just tend to call it as a Father form, so I might as well say it myself like that too. And then we just have the dual stab and rest on the board. Very straightforward, but it's a very strong Trapper and a Wall Breaker from the special side. The only thing that I have to get rid of is the potential Porygon 2, and then this thing just goes in versus him after from there, because he doesn't really have good responses outside of that on his team to my dual stabs in itself. So the next member of the team is gonna be like a bulky offensive Landorus, which is supposed to be subject to the Zygarde Father form, but I also want it to be offensive while at the same time. With the Crown UMC, with Adamant Nature, I think this is there to ensure that +2 Crown DMC will be doing enough to a Zygarde 50% of form of it to be able to operate after a regular Earthquake. If he takes a regular Earthquake first and then I go for like a +2. I don't remember exactly. There was a purpose for the attack investment when I card versus the Zygarde 50% or the Father form. Sorry if I don't remember it really properly, but it had a purpose versus that thing, because I knew that this is gonna be one of my only ways to deal with it outside of Bramble, which I decided not to bring due to the fact that he has a lot of threats that can pressure it out otherwise. And then we have a Stealth Rocks on it, and then we also have the U-turn over there as a way to gain momentum as well, because I expect the Roto Walls to be his switching, and while I could have run Gravity, I felt like it's too situational for me to get the prediction right instead of going for the safe U-turn and go into something else and deal with the Roto Walls in itself. Then the next member of the team is gonna be our Pangoro with a Choice Band Scrappy ability. Pangoro with just dual stab, Earthquake and Ice Punch in itself. Adamant Nature, enough attack investment so that the Gengar, whether it's Choice Scarf or not, but like a standard spread of Gengar, should die to a superpower after Stealth Rocks guaranteed, which is pretty cool, and that's why I run this Scrappy ability, so I don't have to worry about the fact that, oh, does he make a crazy play going to Gengar? Can I go for the superpower versus a Porygon 2 or whatever is in front of me? So I rather have this Scrappy ability so I can always click that one stab, 120 base power out of a Adamant Choice Banded Pangoro. And basically it's just a nuking shit, because he doesn't have a good fighting resist, besides having the immunity on a Gengar and the Mesprit in itself, and Mesprit does not want to switch into me, and even then he has to take a potential huge damage from a even resisted superpower, or if I predict it right, Knockoff is gonna obliterate that thing unless it has a Combo Berry. So that is basically the Pangoro. This thing is kind of like the mod that I really wanted to make it work the most in this matchup, so that is why you're gonna be seeing a little bit of Volturn core between the Landorus and the next member of the team being the Circuitry, which is also dual screens while at it. Very mixed bulk. This was there so it can take as many Hydro Pumps from a Roto was, and then the rest on added on a physical bulk, because this is kind of like my soft way to switching to that thing while getting something out of the turn while I'm in it there with the dual screens, because I didn't feel like I wanted to bring the taunt users that I have on my team with the taunt, so I want to have another way to deal with his Trick Room that he definitely has on his roster, one of his central points of his team. So dual screens is there to help out navigate the damage output and be able to play around it a little bit better, since I don't have my own Trick Room abusers on this team that can counter-react on his own, or I don't have the taunters in itself as well. So that is kind of like the Circuitry. Then we just have both being coverage in the Volt Switch form of the Momentum and Hidden Power Ice for the Zygarde 50 form. And this is a potential lead for myself as well, because I do expect Roto Walls to be relatively good lead versus the team of 6 that I have going on over here once he sees it. And then we have a check button Calm Mind Latios set, and this was originally a Papa Berry, but thanks to my friend who pointed out a very cool idea how I could utilize Egg check button, and that goes to the friend of mine GCC, or otherwise called Milan, how I would call him, or Veli. Because he's a quote-unquote my brother. That's just me saying veli in Finnish, which means brother. But either way, he gave me a very cool idea with the check button so I can deal with the Victini better. Because honestly, from his team, Mega Mobile and Victini are probably the biggest problems to me. And then the SlackOut 100% form is also a huge problem. But the Victini is a little bit annoying to my team because my Pursuit Trapper is type null and I did not want to bring that thing to deal with the Victini, and honestly if it's banded it's two-shotting me anyway, so it's not a really counter to that thing. So I wanted to find a way how I can eliminate the Victini as soon as possible, and a check button is a cool way for me to, either if he goes for U-turn, V-create or whatever move, I can switch my Latios in, and if my Mega Gengar has been able to go on for the protect or attacking move and have the shadow tag already activated as its ability, I can trap that thing and eliminate from there. Or if he has his Porygon 2, I take the hit, I go for the eject button through with the item, and then I get that scrappy choice banded Pangoro in. So it's there for the initiative, not necessarily functioning for its moveset in itself, because it's very counterproductive for that, and that could bite me in the ass if he doesn't bring Porygon 2 or Victini. But I figured that the idea was cool enough, and I vision it to have a good enough higher ceiling that if it works out for me, it makes it a lot easier for me, but it means that he has to bring Victini and the Porygon 2 so I can utilize that item successfully versus one of the two and go from there. And then the final member of the team is gonna be Wet Potato, the Stunfisk with a mixed bulk. This is there to deal with the Gengar initially if I don't have light screen up, so I can take as many hits from it, barring like an energy ball is probably the most he can do to me. And then I just have dual stab, Toxic and Protect. Toxic is there for Roto-Was and Porygon 2, Protect is there for extra turn recovery, and burn out the potential Trick Room turn as well from him. And then I have 0 IVs on speed, just in case if Mega Marvel or something like that is on the Trick Room, so I can actually outspeed them on that turn while the Trick Room is up. So that is gonna be the team of 6, and now we are gonna be jumping through the battle itself and how that actually turned out. And here we are with the battle in itself, and now let's go see how this is gonna be turning out. As my opponent Styx is gonna be decided to bring Alolan Person, Dialga, Mega Mova, Roto-Was, Gengar, and the SlackOut 100%. And for me, my lead option for this matchup, I figured for the longest of time as I was building, it's gonna be my circuitry, and I figured still that once I saw the Roto-Was being there, which I didn't see a reason that it wouldn't come, I figured that that would be his likely lead of choice, and I wanted to counter to that as best as I can with the 6 of mons that I have in itself, because I'm relatively weak to Roto-Was otherwise, so it's better for me to lead with something that can deal with it right from the get-go and can get something out of the turn as I'm dealing with it in itself, because I do have the dual screens if you missed on the team builder part. So we're gonna be leading out with the circuitry, as he's gonna be leading out with the Alolan Person. So this is not the lead that I wanted to see. I really wanted to see the Roto-Was, so I have to make a hard swap here into my Landorusterian, surprisingly enough. And this was a hard mode for me to switch into, because if Alolan Person would go for a 4-play, it would do a lot. If he goes for a knockoff, the Landorusterian still has to take some chip, which is not the ideal way for me to deal with it, because the SlackOut Father form is the one that I want to deal with, and I would lose my HP on the progress. But I figured that after the reversed, he would go for the knockoff, I get the Intimidate drop, and then I can swap from there if I need to. But I didn't want to lose my likely on circuitry immediately turn 1, but it turned out to the fact that he swapped into his Dialga on my circuitry, respecting me to be choice card, which is fair play for him. So I was able to kinda, seeing that I called a double, which in a reality for my behalf it wasn't really me calling a double, and to be honest there was some risk to it that how I played that first turn, but it paid off for me because I went for the U-turn as he swapped into his Roto-Was, and after this I went for the light screen as the Roto-Was swapped out into the SlackOut 50%, which can turn into the fodder form once the ability activates in itself. So I went for the light screen because I figured that the Dialga and Gengar are relatively annoying for me to deal with, as well as the Roto-Was. So it might be better for me to at first to have the light screen up, but I can assure you that I really want to have Reflect up as well. But I figured that this is the turn that I got the light screen up, and then I go make a swap into my Landersterian, expecting the SlackOut to come in or potentially the Dialga, so I can cover the both of them as the Dialga came in. And I went for the Earthquake as it's gonna be going for the Dragon Tail and miss, and that is unfortunate because he loses a little bit of chip that he should have gotten out of it and forced me out randomly into something else, but instead I got a huge damage off on it and he didn't get anything out of the turn. And now I go for an aggressive U-turn, kinda expecting the U-turn to be enough to kill, but also potentially see him saving that Dialga, because he has C-parting shot support potentially from the person, which can still gain it back to full if he so chooses to do. So after that he went into his Roto Was yet again, which I now hit with the U-turn second time in a row with the Landersterian. And now I went into my Mega Gengar because I really wanted to get this thing weakened down even further. Because once this thing is weakened down, he doesn't have the greatest ground answers on his team to my Landersterian. So whenever I go for raw Earthquake or a Grandium C, it's gonna be popping something very hard. So I valued the Roto Was health to be weakened down enough to the point that I was willing to take the Volt Switch, and a slight risk of him having Thunder Wave, but I was hoping that he wouldn't have that on his type of build. So thankfully he didn't have Thunder Wave, I got the huge damage, but now he got his Mega Wow in, and it's gonna be forcing me out because of the fear of Sucker Punch. So this is gonna be a turn where Styx is gonna be really pulling this back for himself and make a great prediction going for the Stealth Rocks, knowing that I would be swapping out, but he knew also that he can live any one hit. So barring me going for a Will-O-Wisp, that was basically, if I would have carried that move, that would have been a potentially a turn that he would have lost a lot from it. And if I had Will-O-Wisp, it was a relatively good play for me to actually do. If I had it, I probably would have gone for it. But thankfully for him, because I didn't have it, and because my non-attacking move that I have on Gengar is Protect, I chose to swap out, so that gave him the turn to get up the Stealth Rocks. And then I went into Circuitry, got my Reflect off, and then I Volt Switch out into my Stunfisk, which unfortunately for the first time showing up in my channel as a web potato, of course it gets credit. So this thing carries the same luck as I do, for the most part, that I have had in my Draft League career for the most part, especially when it comes to finals in UPL, if you have been seeing those games from my point of view. But I went for the dish shots, thinking that he should respect the Earth Power and he should not sack his Mega Morval to that, but unfortunately he does stay in there. And whether he predicted that right, or he just kinda potatoed himself over there and not thinking that I would actually live that hit, he was able to get it right either way. I got the dish shots off. If he didn't crit me there on the knockoff, 2 dish shots, it would have been able to 2-shot it from there, and I would have been able to take 2 hits from that thing. So the crit kind of hurt me as well. So both of us have been lucky and unlucky in certain scenarios thus far, which is fair, because at this point of time I consider it being even, but we see how that's gonna be turning out from the later parts of the battle. For one of our sides to be more lucky than the other, but I'm not gonna be spoiling which one that is going to be. Either way, I was able to get my Landersterian in, and as he went for the parting shot with the Alola person on my Landersterian, that was a turn that he really thought that I would be swapping out, and in fairness he had a good reason to do so, because that should be my best way to deal with SlackOut 100%, so I should be preserving its health. But I was very aggressive on that turn, predicting him to go for the parting shot, so I can go for the U-turn and gain the initiative, and I was able to force the Roto Was to die on that turn because I got that prediction right. And then I make another aggressive play with my Latios, going for the Calm Mind versus the Alola person as it swapped out. That was a turn that if he would have attacked me, I would have gained the initiative into my Pangoro, so it would have been fine. But because he goes into Mega Morval, and I have to make a predicament, do I predict him to now to have the Sucker Punch or not? And if he does, it's gonna mean that Latios is gonna be swapping out without getting any damage output from +1. Or does he not have it and then I claim the kill from there and I'm still in a relatively good spot, and if the Gengar would have to force to come in on that turn, I can live the hit and then go into something like my Pangoro or my Mega Gengar from going from there. But because I couldn't reach the fact that he doesn't have the Sucker Punch, I had to stay in there, and the item of choice that I went with backfired me, because if I had the Papa Berry instead, like I ordinarily had, I would have been in a fantastic position with my Latios, because I would have gained the health back from that turn as he got the Sucker Punch off, because the Reflect allowed me to live that hit. But regardless, we are in a position that his SlackOut form is gonna be coming in, and he's gonna be going for the Dragon Dash as I respond to it, going to my Landorus, and now he's gonna be going for the 1000 arrows on my Landorus after being at neutral attack, thanks to the Intimidate and the +1 from the Dragon Dash kind of nullifying each other. So I went for the Sword Dance here, because this would allow me to make sure that the following turn of hit, whatever it's gonna be having to take it, ideally this SlackOut is gonna take a huge nuke from the C-move, but in a hindsight, once I dedicated myself to go for the Sword Dance on this turn, I should go for a raw Earthquake and not pop my C-move, because granted, he had two things, both of his steel types being relatively low to be a potential sack for him to do something like this as he's able to do. So in a hindsight, this was a misplay for me after dedicating myself to do what I did with my Landorus. So I haven't been able to get a couple of these middle plays so far well after having a strong start, and it's a little bit of irritating to myself, because I felt like I positioned myself well early on the battle, and I'm not really taking most out of it at this point of time. I'm giving himself a little bit of more freedom to come into this game based on how the battle has gone so far. And now he goes into his Gengar, and he's gonna be going for the Icy Wind. I basically swap into my Latios, because it doesn't matter which move he clicks, I should die to it, and this allows me to go into either into my Pangoro or into my Mega Gengar from here. And I decide to go into my Mega Gengar, because I can basically click Shadow Ball for free here, and nothing wants to take it. Especially like a Alolan Personer, if he would take the Shadow Ball for me, it would die to Sludge Bomb, but instead of that, he reveals to be the Choice Scarf as expected, but he misses a 95% of accurate move in Icy Wind, but the 5% of chance it missing, I got that with Mega Gengar, because Diamond was just, I'm not gonna be hit by that, by an inferior form of me, and now I'm gonna be able to go off my Icy Wind of my own to his SlackOut 50%, which unfortunately does not die to this. Granted, there were two plays that I could have done here. I could have either swapped out into my circuitry and preserved my Mega Gengar. In a hindsight, I do regret this play, but I did not also know at the same time what kind of bulk investment he has on it, and considering how close I was to kill, that was potentially a roll, but I don't know his spread at this point of time as I'm recording this. So unfortunately, that's how it goes. If you're gonna be able to see from his side, and maybe he's able to showcase his spread, maybe we'll be able to tell was that a roll or was he currently always to live or whatnot. But that's just unfortunately how it went for me. In a hindsight, it cost me my Mega Gengar, and it gave him the Father form, but it's still relatively weak, and regardless of that, and after this I can go into my Pangoro and go for the Ice Punch and basically claim a kill, and I do claim one into his Dialga, which is now gonna be sacked as well. And now I believe he only has the SlackOut 100% and the person left, but this person is really annoying for me for this late game, because now I arguably make one of my other misplays on this battle that I definitely regret on, which is swapping out actually, because I thought about the fact that maybe I should respect the player off, maybe I should respect the knockoff and keep my choice panic intact. But in a hindsight, I should have stayed in, gone for the Ice Punch, and preserved my circuitry, because I do definitely still potentially need this thing to get up a Reflect up or be able to deal with this Alola person. But instead of that, I sacked the circuitry, and now I got my Pangoro in again. And now, basically what I have to do is that I have to lock myself into Ice Punch and force him out fearing a superpower. And this is gonna be where he's gonna be popping his C parting shot, which enables for the SlackOut 100% form to be able to gain its health back, and that's potentially bad for me, especially if it has rest. If it doesn't have rest, if these Ice Punches are doing enough, I can still manage this because I'm so healthy with my Pangoro. So this point of time, because I'm scrappy ability and after the -1, I'm basically neutral scrappy Pangoro, but I'm still adamant. I'm almost basically max attack. So this should still do a lot to this SlackOut, to the point that it's still around a 3-hit KO. And that's kind of ridiculous to think about it. That's a quite effective hit, super effective hit from a Pangoro, but the SlackOut 100% form is so bulky that it made it a 3-shot at that point, but still good damage. And thankfully I'm so healthy that he cannot necessarily 1v1 me just yet. And now he's gonna be trying to shuffle me around with his Alolan person, try to shuffle my attack lower enough so the SlackOut 100% form has an easier time. But now I make another play that this Alolan person is forcing me to do, which is that I have to swap out on this turn as he goes for the 4-play this time around. And this was again another turn where I felt like, okay, I should have stayed in with my Pangoro on that turn, because he went for the 4-play instead of knockoff or potting shot. Me sucking off Landers there was the worst case scenario that I could have done there, because if I stayed in, I'd take the hit really well, and I would have forced this Alolan person to take another hit and be easier to revenge kill later on with the ice punches in itself if I'm still locked into one. So those couple of plays versus the Alolan person really did not go my way, and I didn't make the optimal plays. And now we are in a position that he went for the potting shot again, and now he goes into his fodder form. And this where basically it's gonna be able to tell before he went for the move in itself is that, okay, this thing has rest, and I'm basically really screwed unless I get lucky. And the issue with this is that because he has rest and I only have this Pangoro left, I cannot get rid of the potential stat drops anymore. So if he's able to potting shot once more and able to get rid of the choice band, this SlackOut 100% form can 1v1 me no matter what I do to it, unless I get a crit. So what I need to do is that I need to get a crit, and I need to get quickly. So Pangoro, please kill this Alola person, and thankfully you do, because you get a freaking crit on the most critical turn that you could have gone, that pun intended, because if I didn't get that crit, I would have been in a very tough position to deal with this SlackOut, even when it's in a sleep, and it still has 2 turns of sleep to be burning out. And now he's gonna be going for the sleep talk. This is mono versus mono between my Pangoro neutral attack versus his sleeping giant being the SlackOut body form. And thanks to that crit what Pangoro was able to get on the most crucial moment as possible, I'm in a position that, thanks to also to the fact that he only is getting Dragon Dances out of his sleep talks, there's no way for him to win at this point, where he was supposed to win this endgame guaranteed based on how it was going. And this this is not a game that I'm gonna, because you're gonna be able to see that I win this game in 1-0, because he gets another Dragon Dance up, he doesn't get the attack. I should have lived always a 1000 arrows from this thing because I'm so healthy, and we get the W in 1-0 fashion. So I don't remember last time when I got so lucky and I played so poorly my late game that I was still able to win the battle. I don't tend to do this. Like, this is such an odd feeling and kind of douchey way for me to win a battle in itself, not gonna lie, cause if I lose games, it's usually due to some completely other factors that I feel like usually I'm able to play relatively well, but my opponents are able to out-prep me and outplay me, and I may do a couple of mistakes, but those are very narrow mistakes to look in a high side. But on this battle I felt like I didn't really, besides the early game, the middle game I kind of messed up a little bit. The item on Latios kind of messed up me a little bit, but in a hindsight that's just a roll of the dice that I took for the upsides that each of the item had. And on the late game I didn't really respect the pressure that the Alolan person was putting into me with being able to pivot around me, and I didn't really have a good way to kill it immediately. And losing my Mega Gengar like I did, if I just sacked my circuitry there instead and not preserving that thing so late as I did, just end up sacking it anyway. That was another turn where I felt like I could have made that a lot easier for myself in a late game, but instead of doing that, I made it as hard as possible for myself, just to put myself in a position that I have to lock myself out of it to get the W, and that's what it ended up happening. So I guess good game to Styx. Obviously it's not a good game because he was supposed to win this, but I won it in 1-0 fashion. But hey, we take those because we don't have a single win yet. This is my first game in Ubers, and a weird way to start up your own career in a new format, in traffic format, to get a win like this. But hey, we take those. Maybe this is something that I need if I end up actually winning my other games more fairly and more deservedly so, and maybe miracles happen in front of me in the standings that enables me to get into playoffs. But I don't see that happening. At least I got the opportunity to face someone that I have followed for a long time. I respect a lot as a battler. Hopefully I get to play him again at some point in some league, where obviously this will not be the case regardless how the result matters, and hopefully I can really give a better showcase what I can actually do, because I don't feel like I'm outclassed necessarily going a higher player than he is. I think I can definitely compete with his skill level as a player. I just wasn't able to showcase that because I made some dumb mistakes that I should have not been doing, and I know I don't do them often, but some reason I just end up doing them, and they kind of cost me in the end like they did. But that is going to be it for the week 8 battle. The week 9 battle will be going up on Sunday, and that is going to be the proper upload day from this league in itself for my behalf and from the rest of the coaches as well. Make sure to check out my opponent. He's a great guy to go and watch from his commentary. He has a really good commentary on his videos for sure, and very knowledgeable player and a top tier battler in his own right in traffic format. So make sure to check him out and the Token Minorities channel if for some reason you haven't yet. And stay tuned for the EWT Week 4 battle when I go up against Oppo 29 on this Wednesday. You're gonna be seeing it. Week 3 battle didn't go up because I got a forfeit win, so that's why we have a little bit of off week from there regards to uploads. But until Wednesday, thank you all for watching, and until then, I'm gonna be seeing you guys later.